Red alert. Red alert.
Our first cartoon shows a series of different militants. First we have the militant Islamist in the stereotypical ski mask thingy, explosive utility belt, and AK-47 with a nice oak finish. Clearly some infidels are going to be dying soon. Next we have the militant Christianist, sporting clashing attire, as is common for militant Christianists who have no sense of style. His handgun is smoking because he just took out some poor woman behind him at an abortion clinic. Lastly, we have the militant atheist, grabbing his pale ale with a goatee, hat, and tired eyes that say he's a struggling philosopher or liberal arts major. But how do we know he's an atheist? Oh wait, that's right, there's a giant A on his shirt. And this whole time I thought he was just an adulterer branded with a scarlet letter. Yet when looking at all three, a distinction immediately becomes apparent. Unlike the two religious gentlemen, the atheist is clearly harmless. Thus, atheism good, religion bad. So what's the problem with this cartoon? Well, the issue really starts with the term militant. The definition of militant, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is combative and aggressive in support of a political or social cause and typically favoring extreme, violent, or confrontational methods. The key word is favoring violent methods, which is utilized in the first two depictions of religious figures. Thus, the cartoonist establishes the definition of militant to be specifically violent. Yet when we get to the atheist, we see nonviolence, and an overall lack of style. But the atheist cannot be considered militant since he is displaying no violent behavior in context with the other religious figures. What the cartoonist has done is committed to the fallacy of equivocation to prove their point. Equivocation fallacy is using a term in two different ways within an argument. In this case, the definition of militant changed for the atheist. The viewer is then left with the misconception that religious people are violent and atheists are not. There is also a variance in the remaining labels attached to our characters. An Islamist is a particular Muslim that believes the religion of Islam should guide politics. A Christianist is likewise defined as a specific type of Christian and doesn't apply to all Christians. Thus, Islamists and Christianists are very specific categories, whereas an atheist is a much broader category. That is, one can be a Christian and not be a Christianist. But since atheism is a broader term, it stands alone. An atheist is simply an atheist. Although all three terms end with an ist, and it brings a little unity to the comic, it can be argued that the context is not appropriate when we consider that the first two characters represent specific religious fanatics, and the last character represents the entire broad spectrum of atheists, which apparently includes dudes with goatees and lame hats. But despite the fallacious nature of the argument, there is another larger problem with this cartoon. It seems to overlook the countless violent atheists the world has seen. Atheists, like all humans, can be just as violent as any religious person, even hipster atheists at your local pub.